Welcome to Diet Rebellion, the podcast that's here to help you break free from the chains of dieting and finally take control of your health, strength, and confidence. I'm Joe Hoye, your host and the founder of Diet Detox. After transforming the lives of thousands of women over 40 who have been trapped in the endless diet cycle, I'm here to show you a new way. One that focuses on eating for your body's needs, restoring your metabolism, and rebuilding your strength for life. Get ready for real, no bullshit conversations, expert insights, and actionable strategies that empower you to live diet-free and thrive. It's time to stop restricting and start rebuilding. Join the rebellion. Your journey starts now. Welcome back to Diet Rebellion. Today, you are in for a treat. And if you're somebody that wants to lose weight, you want to get healthier, you want to be better than you currently are in one way or another, and I don't care if it's around your health or your body shape or anything else in life, this episode's going to be for you. This episode is in partnership with a good friend named Nick Ross. He is by trade a salesman, but the only thing he's going to sell you on today is yourself and the fact that every single thing that you want in your life is currently inside of you. And you're going to learn, you're going to grow, and you're going to evolve into the person that gets the things that you want today. He shares a simple 6-step process that by the end of this podcast, you're going to learn how to apply into your life in any way that you want. To tell you that this is by far the most valuable episode we've recorded yet is an understatement. So buckle up, grab a pen and paper, and get ready for the next 60 minutes because this episode will change your life if you allow it. So enjoy. Nick Ross, welcome to Diet Rebellion, man. I was just telling you before, but I think there's a reason you haven't been here. And as everybody's going to learn, you are the NLP guy. I don't think anybody here knows what NLP is yet, but by the time we wrap this up, they will. And Diet Rebellion is a whole lot more than getting away from the physical side of calorie restriction and restricting from carbs and all the shit that we love in our life. It's getting more into a normal lifestyle mentally and who we are to become the person that loses 30 pounds and keeps it off. And I think that today's episode is going to be perfect for that. So welcome to the show.
Welcome, brother. Long time coming. I know we've been planning this, so super excited just to speak to you, a fellow brother in the industry that we love so much. And let's provide as much impact we can to the audience listening today.
I love it. So I think the best place to start is with you, right? Who is Nick Ross? Because we're going to learn a lot about this. You know just a thing or two about nutrition, being a professional bodybuilder, but you're not a nutrition coach. So Who are you?
Great question. In my mind, I still battle this every day. I still, we all have the imposter syndrome. It's something that will never, ever go away. So still to this day, and I've been very successful in a lot of endeavors, but part of me, man, is still that poor farm boy. I grew up on a horse farm, mucking stalls, building fences, mowing acres and acres, baling hay. And at my core, I'm always trying to overcome that identity of like not deserving enough, right? And so my life was, growing up was a lot of work on a horse farm, and I discovered very quickly that if I was playing sports or was at practice or as a game, I didn't have to shovel horse manure. Okay. And so my life really became very quickly at a young age, from the age of 6 and 7, I was working on a horse farm. I got into sports, and sports was my whole entire love in my life. And I played every sport possible. My core desires for the longest time was to be a professional athlete, play D1 hockey at Michigan, which I'm from Pennsylvania, but I always wanted to play for University of Michigan because they had cool helmets, and maybe hopefully one day make it to the NHL. But that didn't happen. Got in a really severe car accident when I was 16, and that was the end of my athletic career. And my second love at that time was music. And I was never a musician. Still to this day, I'm not. I like to think maybe I'm a rapper in another life. I love music. But I went to college and got a degree in recording arts, moved to Hollywood, California in the early 2000s, and just really lucked out and got a really cool job in Hollywood building and designing recording studios for some really big clients. And was, till this day, I'm 41 now. That's when I was 21. All I've ever known as an adult is working in sales in a commission-based sales job. And my story begins there because being a single man with no kids, living a bachelor lifestyle, I lived in Vegas and Hollywood and Florida and Dallas, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, Nashville. I live in Nashville today. I lived a rock and roll lifestyle. And at the age of 32, I woke up not feeling right. At that point in my life, I was smoking a pack of Marlboro Red Reds, cowboy killers as we call them. I was drinking a lot of Jameson. I was playing a lot of video games. I was eating a lot of pizza and burgers and fast food for a long time, for a decade plus. And I woke up one morning, March 23rd and of 2016. I had this really bad lump in my throat. And for whatever reason, something was speaking to me. And I try not to be the architect of my own negative narrative, but I was like, man, I think you have cancer in your throat because this lump wouldn't go away. And so at that point, being 32, I still feel I'm invincible. I didn't even have a general doctor. Like I didn't even go to the doctor, right? I looked up a doctor, drove down, and she's like, honey, you're fine. The week prior, I had the flu. The week before that, I had 4 wisdom teeth surgically removed because they were impacted. And so there's a lot of like infection and things going on there. She's like, you're fine. Here's some antibiotics. Go home. You'll be okay. And that night I did the same thing I always did. Drank, smoked, played video games, hung out, lived in a shitty little 1-bedroom apartment, went and took a shower. Something still felt off. And for whatever reason, I never did this before. I just, I'm not trying to be graphic, but I think this is important for men to know. When I got out of the shower, I was drying myself and I still had this feeling that something was wrong. So I decided just to like inspect myself and my testicles. And at that point, I found a lump. And, you know, when I tell you that proverbial feeling of like your heart drops into your stomach, like I literally felt that. And I did the thing that you probably shouldn't do, especially late at night. I went on WebMD and I started researching like what this could be. Yeah. And the advice on WebMD was if you have a lump there and you're touching it and it doesn't hurt, it's some kind of tumor. It could be benign, it could be cancerous, but go get it inspected immediately. If you touch it and it does hurt, it could be something else, but it's not a tumor, right? And so I woke up the next morning, called, this time in my life, I'm living in Nashville, called a network called Urology Associates here in Nashville, Middle Tennessee. It's like 40 urologists. It's a Friday morning. They're booked out. You can't get an appointment. I'm on the phone crying with the receptionist. Like, I think I have cancer. Please book me. And so to really speed up this story here, I drove to the urologist, had a bunch of tests done. It was Friday afternoon by that point. They're like, hey, we'll call you on Monday because it's just late in the day. Someone needs to go through the imaging. And I had to get not a CAT scan, but the thing that pregnant women get, ultrasound, right?
Oh, an ultrasound. Yeah.
And by the time I made that 45-minute drive from the urologist back to my shitty little 1-bedroom apartment in East Nashville, my phone rang. And man, this is gonna be 9 years in March of this year. And it's still emotional when I talk about this. It just hit me again. My phone rang, and I know this now. They're not supposed to deliver this type of news over the phone. They're supposed to do it in person. But the phone rang, and they said, Nick, you have cancer, and you have surgery on Monday.
Wow.
And all my regrets, all my indecision, all the people I hurt, all the things that I wasn't proud of just started flashing before my eyes and my mind.
Wow. So what day was this you're driving home?
March 23rd of 2016. No,
what day was that?
24th.
What day of the week?
Yeah, this was a Friday, March 24th. It was March 24th, yeah.
So on Friday, you get the call. They're getting ready to go home for the weekend. They know that something is so serious that you need to have surgery when they get back in the office.
Yeah, because where it was attached to my lymphatic system. Your lymphatic system is like the drainage system of your organs. They don't biopsy testicular cancer because the ability to spread to the next testicle is so high. So they can't truly say it's cancerous until they remove it, then biopsy it. But yeah, I got the call at like 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon on a Friday, and they're telling me, hey, dude, we need you in on surgery by Monday. So
wow.
I did the only thing I knew what to do was just call my best friends, buy a 24-pack of beer, and we drank.
Get after it. Yeah, you might as well, right? And so then what? I mean, then you have surgery on Monday. What do you think for that entire weekend, though? Like, is your life over? Are you dying?
In all honesty, man, I pretty much spent that whole entire weekend in a bit of a drunken stupor and just trying not to think about it. You know, we self-medicate and we do these things to not think about the pain. I didn't want to think about it. I didn't want to think about it. One of the most important men and only real true men in my early life was my grandfather. And my grandfather had died, not of cancer, but of chemotherapy. That's what took him out. And I knew at that point they had told me like, this is going to be a 2-step process, surgery. You have to get better. You have to get healthy, and then you're going to enter into chemo. And so I was just trying to really, at that point in my life, just drown it all out. Luckily, I was surrounded by my grandmother drove down to me immediately. My mom drove down to me immediately from Cincinnati and Kentucky down to Nashville, and just to spend time, just to be surrounded by community. But after surgery, 3 months later, I had to go through the heaviest chemotherapy they could put a 32-year-old man through. Every tumor is made up of different types of cancer cells. My tumor was made up of 3 different types of cancer cells, and 2 of them were lethal killers. And And then that's what set the chemotherapy plan into place. And I got nuked.
Mhm.
I had chemotherapy 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, every other week for 2 months. And every chemotherapy is different. There's different treatments now, 9 years later. But I clocked in for a shift at work in a chemo ward floor. A lot of people that go through cancer, again, everyone has a different plan, but a lot of chemo will be like once, twice a month. It all depends, right? But I'm going 8 hours a day, 5 days a week in a row. And, when you get chemotherapy, you sit on a chemo ward floor with 50, 75 other people all hooked up to a machine getting drip. And when you're there over a course of 2 months, you're watching other people fade away.
I was just going to ask you, what's your outlook do when you're doing that? Because, I mean, that's not the happiest place to be. You're with a bunch of people that have possible fatalities coming shortly in their life. Like, what's your mindset do?
Watched it in front of my face.
Yep.
I'm not single. I'm an only child. My mom had me when she was 18, and my mom is my everything. It's where I learned about unconditional love. At that time, my mom was 52, and so I'm thinking you got to beat this, man, because you can't go before your mom goes. Because I knew if I went, she would probably go too. And so, man, there were days like you talking about you don't want to get out of bed because it's cold and go to the gym and fucking do your cardio. Like I had to go on a Thursday and a Friday to chemotherapy to go get poisoned. And I'm so sick and I'm throwing up nonstop and my mom's dragging me out of bed. And I'm like, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. I don't want to go. And that time in my life, I was never into fitness or discipline. I just did whatever the hell I wanted, which led to me being diagnosed with cancer, my lifestyle. And I just fought for her, man. That was, at that time I was single. I didn't have any kids. I didn't have much. I was successful in my career and had some trophies up on the wall for things that I had accomplished, but they were collecting dust. I hadn't done much in a while. And I tell people all the time, cancer forced resolution in my life. Without me having cancer, I don't do what's necessary to change every aspect of my life. Because when I sat in that chemo ward floor for 8 hours a day and I watched strong men and strong women fade away to skin and bones in front of me over the course of 2 months, I'm like, man, am I next? Is this me? If I have a second chance at life, how am I going to do things differently? Am I just going to live the same lifestyle and live the same identity and not take risk and not go after what I want? Because God, if you give me a second chance at life, I promise you I will use my few skill sets to help and serve and impact others. Because, during those times, especially towards the end when it gets really heavy, your hair's falling out, you're sick, can't hold down food. I asked God, I said, why did you do this to me? And if you can really silence the noise in your head, I heard God whisper back to me, my child, I gave you everything you ever asked for. I wanted to feel support. I wanted to feel acknowledged. And, when you have cancer, people come out of the woodwork to support you. People you had been in fist fights with in high school or donating to your GoFundMe because I couldn't afford, even with insurance, to get through it. My life was changed forever by the people that showed up to support me and, Raw Strong and people making t-shirts and people reaching out to me. And I was feeling this love and this admiration that I wanted my whole entire life. And that's what I was asking for. And that's what I got. And, so many people invested their time, their money, their effort, their energy into me surviving and to help me stay positive. There was people in my life that literally texted me every single day for 6 months. You're going to kick cancer's ass. You're going to just reminding me every day. And I felt like it was like someone who is investing in a company. You invest in something, Fortune 500 company on the stock market, and you're investing money into it so you can get a return on investment. I felt like people were investing in me and the person in me so I would survive. And I felt this duty to make sure when I came out of this, I was the strongest version of myself to show them, thank you for investing your time, your money, your energy, your conversations, your love into me. And I'm going to make sure I pay you back by being the best version of myself when I get out of this. Because, when you're going through cancer, you meet all kinds of other people that go through cancer. And I can tell you, man, I've met people that just got done battling lung cancer and they're like, pulling down a cigarette. Yeah, I had stage 2 lung cancer. And they just go right back to smoking cigarettes, right? And so it doesn't change everyone. You have a decision to make. And sitting on that chemo ward floor, this is where I started the podcast a lot, where I really started getting into self-development because I didn't really have anything else to do. And that's when I found Tony Robbins and Neuro-Linguistics Programming, which is NLP. NLP, the short form of it, the two definitions I love is Neuro-Linguistics Programming is the science of achievement. Achievement is ones and zeros. Success is an algorithm. Success is a mathematical formula that can be duplicated and repeated by any human being. And the second aspect that I love is that NLP is the science of communication, not only with others, but most importantly, how you interpret your communication with yourself, how to stand guard between your conscious and subconscious mind and audit the conversation that you're having with yourself, but also detaching from that voice. A lot of people identify with the imposter syndrome voice or the self-sabotager voice or the voice in their head. They think that they're the voice, but you're not that voice. You're the realization of that voice, and you control the frame of every experience. There's no such thing as positive and negative experiences. Cancer didn't happen to me. It happened for me. It was a blessing in disguise. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. But again, it's what led to the forced resolution in my life. If cancer was easy, if chemo was easy, if surgery was easy, if sitting in a chemo ward floor was easy, I don't change my life. I don't. And then I don't get to where I am today, which I have my mission and my purpose, which is to give back and impact the lives of others positively.
I'm curious on something.
Shoot.
How do you control the frame? How do you control, and I'm using frame as perspective. How do you control that? Because somebody else could have had the same exact experiences as you, but that cancer did happen to them. And for you, it didn't. Like, it happened for you so that you can now serve others and help others. So how do you control that?
When we say the frame, you have to think about it like a frame of like a painter or a photographer or a videographer. They control the frame, right? It could have been shot in wide angle and they choose to zoom in and crop the image a certain way to then evoke a certain emotion. And so all experiences have a structure. And so you're not actually experiencing life. You're experiencing what you're focusing on because of the reticular activating system, your RAS, that is built into your brain. And so there's no such thing as positive and negative experiences. There's not.
It's just experiences.
Experiences aren't binary. They're not good and bad, heaven and hell, positive and negative, victim rewarded. They're not. Human beings are the only creature on earth that says, this was a negative experience. All other organisms are just living through the reality and the experience. And so experiences aren't binary. They're spectral. So the thermometer doesn't say hot and cold. The thermometer has a varying amount of degrees. And what might be hot to you might be cold to me, and what might be cold to you, vice versa, right? So you get to choose the spectral analysis of the experience. If you tell yourself, I am a victim of this, then you will filter reality and you will give reality an identity that is negative. You will only see that outcome. That's all the reticular activating system will see in your reality. And if you don't know what the reticular activating system is, it's like this. It's the easiest way to explain it. You go and you buy a lime green Jeep. You never owned one before. You love the lime green Jeep. You buy the lime green Jeep, you're driving around town, all of a sudden you see lime green Jeeps everywhere. You're like, damn, everyone owns a lime green Jeep. Is it that reality just started producing more lime green Jeeps? Or was it they've always been there, but you never noticed them? You never focused on it until your hands were on the steering wheel and you felt the ownership of the lime green Jeep. The reticular activating system is a servo mechanism. See, your brain is processing trillions of bits of data simultaneously. You don't understand that your skin is actually an organ that's taking in trillions of bits of information simultaneously, plus your five senses, your four other senses, right? And so if your brain was to interpret all the data that coming into it simultaneously, it would overheat like a computer would overheat. It can't take in all the input and all the stimulus from experience and reality. So it has to narrow down and focus on the most important thing. And what you tell it is the most important thing to focus on is what it will focus on. You can't be the architect of your own negative narrative. You can't imply negative intent in ambiguous situations where you don't have all the information. That is so destructive in your life, because when you're the architect of your own negative narrative and you build that building of negativity, then guess who you invite into your home? Negative experiences. So the most god-awful things that have ever happened to you today, I'm telling you, they did not happen to you. They happened for you. You can choose to reframe that experience as helping you become the badass individual, strong individual that overcomes everything. And let me remind you, you have overcome everything. You know how I know that you've overcome everything? Because you woke up today. You're alive. You've overcome the worst. And again, you choose the frame. What is the meaning of the experience? Victim or rewarded? You choose. What am I going to focus on? Am I going to focus on myself and my own wants, needs, and desires? Or am I going to focus on impacting others. And then what am I going to do about it? What is my physiology? Am I going to take action to change my situation, or am I going to choose to stay the same? And by the way, not making a decision to change your life is making a decision to not change your life.
I love this. Man, I don't even want to talk on this. I just want you to talk to my audience for an hour, but I'm going to, because the way my brain works, I'm in agreement with you 1,000,000%. And to be completely transparent, you know this like the back of your hand, and I'm learning it like the back of my hand. I'm in process. What I want to know selfishly, and so that all my listeners can apply, is, okay, we understand the concept. We are in control of the frame, our reality, our perspective, whatever you want to call it. But how do we apply it, right? Because conceptually, this is a great idea, but what do we do to get there?
Yeah, great question. So again, people are actually drowning in information. You don't need more information. You need application of information. How can you apply this directly to your life, your lifestyle, what you're going through, your past experiences? And so I've created a little 6-step system that I've applied to my life to transform my life on every level. The first thing is you have to understand the problem that we're currently facing as a society. The problem is this: we're going through a bit of a struggle to understand who we actually are. It's an identity crisis. So when I help people, one of the things I help them with is understanding who you are and what do you want. Most people can't answer those two questions. They don't know who they are, and they have no idea. They have zero evidence criteria of what they want. And so if you don't know who you are and you don't know what you want, you have no way of actually satisfying yourself. Not only can you not satisfy yourself because you don't have the evidence criteria, but no one else in your life can satisfy you either, because you've now become unsatisfiable, and no wonder why you wake up every morning longing for something more. So I'm going to give you the answer right now to who you are. The listener right now, you are the becoming. That's all you could ever be. You have point A, where you currently are, but where you prefer not to be. This could be your lowest possibility and your lowest self. And then you have point B, your highest self, who you dream to be of, the whispering of God's words into your ear of what you could be in your highest potential. Now that creates a gap. Point A, where you are, point B, where you want to be. That gap, that is the becoming. If you understand anything about human beings, the reason why we were designed is to become better and advance things. That's what we do. We make everything better, whether it's technology or relationships. Like, that's what we're programmed to do. So you are the becoming. You're not the voice in your head. You're not the self-sabotager. You're not the imposter syndrome. You are enough. You just have to become. The next thing is that you have to know what you actually want, and you have to get very crystal clear on this. And I'm going to give you a plan on how to get crystal clear of what you want here shortly. But I love this little saying: if you don't know who you are or what you want, you don't know where you're headed in life. And if you don't know where you're headed, you don't know where your head is. And if you don't know where your head is, you don't know where your mind is. And if you don't know where your mind is, you have, by definition, lost your mind. And you will feel unsatisfiable to obtaining the things that you know you can obtain. You know, so many people, especially in our industry that we work in, that, you know, I think like the average female American diets 6 to 7 times in a year, right? The guy's trying to lose his dad bod or see his abs for the first time since high school and put on some lean muscle. He's trying 5-6 times a year. And so what happens is we start trying to become better, and we start to expand our container. And then for whatever reason, something that we perceive negative has happened in our life. And now we start cutting off all the bits and pieces of ourselves that we worked so hard on to grow, to stuff ourselves back into our own limited, inferior identity. See, what you have to understand is the person that you identify with and how you identify reality, right? Because the only way that you can actually realize reality is by giving it an identity. The only way that you can give reality an identity is through how you communicate the experience to yourself. Powerful stuff.
Dude, you're so good.
And so you have to understand that how you communicate experience, positively or negatively, heaven or hell, is the reason why you do this work, but then cut off all the bits and pieces and stuff yourself back into this limited, inferior identity. And this is something that when I learned this, I was like, damn, so simple, but yet so profound. Your current identity cannot possibly produce the outcomes that you truly desire. Let me put this another way. I used to love drinking Jameson, smoking cigarettes, and being a party animal, going to every music concert and everything that was going on in town, and being in the scene and hanging out and doing all the wild stuff. Well, that old identity could not possibly produce the outcomes that I desire today, which is being a great father, being a great fiance, providing a beautiful home, becoming an IFBB professional bodybuilder. The identity of being an alcoholic could never produce the outcome of being a professional bodybuilder.
And so I've known you, I don't know, since Coaching Con of 2022, I think. And I mean, obviously, this has been your identity since then. I'm sure you've evolved since then. But knowing knowing you, I can't imagine the other you, the other version of you that there was.
Yeah. I had to bury that version of myself in barren ground.
You have to. I have my own version that's gone. Nobody today listening to this will ever know him.
Yeah. I had to euthanize that old identity. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So the first step and the first concept, guys, is like, we have to understand that we're suffering as a society today with an identity crisis. You now know who you are. I'm going to teach you how to figure out what you want. But the first step in changing your identity is that you have to have faith. You have to have faith. Faith is the antidote to failure, right? So many people don't want to change their life because they're afraid they're going to fail. They're going to lose something. The mind operates off of something called loss less never. Most people never get started on becoming their highest self because they think they're going to lose something, they're going to get less of something, or they're never going to get it. So they just don't try. They don't try to do it. The other thing is that when we're talking about failure and fear, you have to understand that fear is a call to action. That's actually what it is. When you fear something, it's actually telling you, no, I need to move forward and accomplish this, right? And this gets a little deep, but what faith does is it takes the infinite power of your mind and it connects it to the infinite power of the universal consciousness. Another way I like to think about the universal consciousness is the ancestral knowledge of all of our ancestors. And so when you have faith that you can actually do something, the universe will provide the vision and the reality and experience to start producing what you're focusing and what you have faith that you can accomplish. And let me remind you that it's not your conditions that are holding you back. Time, money, energy, where you live, your job, having kids, being a mom, being an entrepreneur, your calendar's filled up. It's not your conditions that are holding you back. It's your decisions. People run races with no legs. People make the impossible possible every single day. What the hell is your excuse? People have climbed to the top of Mount Everest, not just a couple of them, a lot of people with no legs, because they're not allowing their conditions to hold them back to accomplish said goal. They're making a decision. It's not your resources in life, how much time, money, energy, and effort you have. It's your resourcefulness. How willing are you and able are you to actually be resourceful to change your life? And so first step is that we can never change our life unless we have faith that we can do it. And let me remind you this, and you can fact check me here. 111 billion people have ever lived on Earth. 111 billion. Do you think one out of that 111 billion people haven't overcome the problem you're currently going through? And so if one man can accomplish it, one woman can accomplish it, anyone can accomplish it. And that is a presupposition from NLP that you have to apply to your life. And so you have to have faith. And here's the other thing. This is very fascinating. The part of the brain that creates faith and gratitude and humbleness also creates anxiety, fear, worry, and doubt. And it can't create both simultaneously. So if you think you can't do it, you have doubt, you have fear, you have anxiety, which is really just anticipation about something new. In order to squelch or to mute those types of communications, you have to have faith. You have to be grateful. You have to be humble for everything that you have. So faith is step number one. Step number two, and this is hard to say because of the current situations that are going on in California. So mind me when I say this, I'd written this and come up with this concept a long time before that. But you have to allow the dead wood to burn internally. You know, I'm not trying to get political here, but it's one of the reasons why those fires were so bad is because they didn't maintain and get rid of the dead wood, right? They didn't put forestry to remove all the dead debris. And so those fires burnt hotter than ever before. But inside of you, how I describe the dead wood that's inside of us is the dead wood that is inside of you is everything inside of you that is not worthy of your highest self. And to allow the dead wood to burn, you have to get to the truth. You have to be honest with yourself. The truth burns up everything inside of us that is not worthy of our highest self while it simultaneously sets you free. You have to allow everything that is not worthy of your highest potential, God's calling of who you could be. You have to allow that to burn. And in order to allow the dead wood to burn, this is an actual applicable practice that I did and I still do. You need to have a long, hard look in the mirror. You need to look yourself in the mirror dead in the black pits of your eyes, and you need to have a conversation with yourself. You need to have a conversation with this false inferior identity. There will be no more hedonistic behavior. There will be no more self-soothing. There will no longer be taking the path of least resistance in my life. I will no longer seek out pleasure and soothing of my pain. This is where I draw the line. There is no more of this guy that I will tolerate to wake up every single day. I am sick and tired of this version of myself, and I am willing to allow whatever needs to happen in order to grow and expand my container and reach my highest self. So you have to get honest. And guess what, guys? This is why they say the truth burns. This is why when someone tells you the truth or their perceived truth, like you get hot inside, your face turns red, you feel a little bit of anger. Good. Get pissed off for your own greatness. So we got to have faith. We got to allow the dead wood to burn, which means we need to be honest with ourselves. We need to draw a line in the sand. We need to have a conversation with the man looking back, the woman looking back in the mirror. Next, we're going to run a framework called RPM. RPM stands for result, purpose, massive action plan. We need to create momentum in our life towards our highest self. RPM in a car is rotation or revolutions per minute. So when you put your foot down on the gas pedal, the RPMs go up. You let go of that gas pedal, you have inertia, you have forward momentum, and the car, the vehicle continues to move forward. See, you don't need motivation because motivation is fleeting. Motivation is, it's like happiness. It's fleeting. But momentum will continue to carry you forward through the hard days, through the bad days. So R is going to be result. Remember, we have to know who we are and what we want. So we got to get crystal clear clarity of the result that we want. If you take one thing away from this podcast, know this: vision drives decision. So if you don't have a vision or the evidence criteria of what you actually want, you'll never make a decision to take action to get the result that you want. Remember, success is an algorithm. Emotions drive decisions, decisions drive thoughts. Emotions drive decisions, decisions drive actions, actions drive results. And so here's something that's very practical that you can do today. Get a pen, get a pencil, get a piece of paper. And we're going to do something called brainstorming. You're going to write down 20 goals. This could be over the course of 1 to 3 years. There's no wrong answers here. You want to make more money, you want to get in better health, you want to get better shape, you want to be in a relationship, you want to get your kids into a better college, you want a Louis Vuitton bag, you want to go on a dream vacation, you want to buy a new computer. Again, there's no wrong answer. You're going to write down. You're going to bring the thought form into the physical world. You're going to write it down, not typed out. You're going to write it down. Remember, it's called spelling for a reason. Casting a spell. It's metaphysical. You're bringing thought form into the physical plane. You're going to look at those 20 goals, and then you're going to organize them into the top 5 most important goals that you want to accomplish this year. The other 15, you get rid of them. Those are the distractions. Those are the things you keep squirreling on. Now, you hit one of those top 5 goals, totally fine. Pull in one of the other 15 and replace the one that you accomplished. You're going to get crystal clear about when, how, who, the smell, the sound. I want you to envision every aspect of it. I want you to embody it, okay? Guys, getting what you want in life is easy. Figuring out what you want's the hard part. So figure out the R, your result. And now your reticular activating system kicks in and you'll start to see the opportunity everywhere. Next is P, your purpose. We have to have an emotional driver. Remember, the algorithm is emotions drive decisions, decisions drive actions, actions drive results. So how are you framing your experiences? What is the meaning of the experience? The meaning you assign to any experience then creates emotions. And remember that emotions are low resolution solutions that your body produces for problems your brain hasn't figured out yet. Ever think about that? Crazy.
That's wild. I've actually not.
Yeah. So you have to create your compelling future. You have to find the meaning that sustains you through life. You have to figure out how and why I'm going to attack the day foaming at the mouth, pissed off for success. Why do I get out of bed on the first alarm? And you need to have a purpose. See, I can wake up in the morning and I can give up on myself. I'm not perfect, but my emotional driver is my mother. I'm trying to keep a promise I made to my mom as an 8-year-old kid that I'd become a professional athlete. I'm 41. I'm still chasing that dream, becoming a professional bodybuilder. I don't do it for me. I don't do it so I can put IFBB Pro on my Instagram handle. I do it to keep a promise I made to my mom. I chase excellence and I chase financial success in my life, not so I can have things. So I make sure I don't put my mom in a fucking home. And when she's retired and in her golden years, I can put her on her dream farm where she doesn't have to work her hands down to the bone. She can sit in a rocking chair and look out into the pasture and enjoy the things that she loves most in life, which is her horses. Not put my mom into no retirement home. So I can give up on me, but I refuse to give up on my mom, my girls, my family, my fiance. That's my purpose. Something higher, something greater than my own wants, needs, and desires. This is called the communitarian approach to self-development. The quickest way to improve your life is to stop worrying about you. When I worry about me, I suffer. When I worry about helping other people get what they want, I become better. When you help others get what they want, God will give you what you need. The communitarian approach to self-development also releases oxytocin. It's called the love chemical. So when you're doing things for a greater purpose to help and impact the lives of other people, you actually will feel better scientifically, neurologically. So now we have our result. Now we have our purpose. Write down next to the top 10 goals. So you now have these top 10 goals. Next to the goals, I want you to write the name of the person that's going to impact if you hit that goal. I don't want wife, daughter, husband, brother, sister, my employees. You write their name down. You write their name, Jennifer Baker, Nancy Baker, Sarah Garner. You write their name next to the goal. Then you ask yourself, am I willing to give up on them? And then next to their name, you're going to write how it's going to impact their life if you hit that goal. So if I can create the financial success that I want in my life, it's going to impact my mother, Jennifer Baker. And then from there, I will make sure that I do not put my mom into a retirement home, that I'm able to buy that dream farm in Franklin, Tennessee, in the 6th richest real estate in all of America. So she can be on that rocking chair in her golden years, sitting out looking on a pasture on a beautiful summer evening. And tell me I don't have a reason to quit. Tell me now that you don't have a reason to quit. And then lastly, you need your map. Your map is your massive action plan. Look, I want to take this off your shoulders to the listeners today. You're not failing. Your map is failing. You have a map from New York City to Miami, but you're physically and mentally in California. So no matter how hard you try to get to your core destination, where you want to be with what you see in the mirror, with your finances, with your spirituality, with gaining knowledge, with being a better father, or being a better entrepreneur, whatever you're trying to get to on your map, you can't get there because you're using the wrong massive action plan. This is called exploratory behavior. We have to create the map, the correct massive action plan daily, weekly, quarterly, and yearly to move incrementally closer to our core desires. You have to create your 5 actionable steps. So my 5 actionable steps, which help me create momentum every single day. I don't win the day unless I do these things. I got to make my bed. I know that sounds silly, but it's the first win of my day. And no matter what happens during that day, if I have a really shitty day, then guess what? I got a nice, comfortable bed to lay in at the end of the day. Number 2, I got to drink a gallon of water. It's a priority for me. Number 3 is I got to hit my macros. Number 4 is I got to do my workout. And for me, because I'm a type A personality, it's hard for me to sleep if I don't at least acquire some kind of knowledge for at least 30 to 60 minutes. Watching a podcast, reading a book, watching a YouTube, calling an old friend, talking about psychology, right? So if I do those 5 things every day, I win the day. Every day I win the day, I'm creating momentum forward on my map, my massive action plan towards my core desire, my core destination. This is how we start to reinforce the new identity. We do it with wins. And what happens is you start to fire and wire new pathways of behavior. This is neurogenesis. This is neuroplasticity. This is real documented neurological things that are happening. And think about that for a second. If you're moving forward towards your core desire, if you're becoming better, your brain literally starts to fire and wire and create a new pathway. You're literally becoming more. And the crazy thing is it was already inside of you. You are already capable of this. And that's beautiful because now the question becomes, how much of there is there inside of me? How much growth is inside of me? So we got to have faith. We got to allow the dead wood to burn and be super brutally honest with ourselves and have radical candor that we'll no longer wake up and identify with this inferior version of ourselves. We're going to create a result because we know vision drives decision. We're going to create a purpose and an emotional driver that's bigger than our own wants, needs, and desires. We're going to apply a communitarian approach to self-development and not worrying about you. We're going to create a map, a massive action plan that actually gets us to our core destination by taking 5 actionable steps daily that move us closer to getting to those 5 goals. And then lastly, you have to choose to win today. You have to choose to win this day. Maybe Elon Musk will figure this out someday, but we haven't figured out time travel. You've never been to the past and you've never been to the future. You've only ever lived today in the current moment. So you have to choose to win today while simultaneously remembering tomorrow. When you're feeling the itch to do something that you know that you shouldn't do, ask yourself, how will my actions today make me feel tomorrow? How will my actions today make me feel tomorrow? Am I doing my 5 actionable steps to move me closer to my goals and the ones that I love?
This is amazing. This is so good.
Yeah, I'm wound up. Sorry.
What I think a lot of people are, I love it. Stay there. What I think a lot of people are going to do is if they pause this and they go back and listen 10 times and they truly apply it, they're going to say that they want their result to be weight loss in some form. Weight loss, new health, feeling better. And what you just told them to do is write down the name of who this is going to impact, right? So John, maybe their husband. What I don't think a lot of people realize is that we all have 4 dimensions in our life. We have our body, we have our being, we have our connections, and we have our business. I don't think people realize that losing weight is going to connect to their connections, right? By losing weight, they're going to be happier, they're going to be more confident, they're going to be healthier, they're going to show up better as a wife for John. Because of that, they're going to have a better relationship, then they're going to show up better for their kids. And so by simply solving this one problem, you're also solving more problems in your 4 dimensions.
Absolutely. And very Tony Robbins of me, but the quality of your life is dependent on the quality of your relationships. And the quality of your relationships is dependent on the quality of communication in those relationships. So let's say that Miss Jones gets her act together. She gets in the best health and shape of her life. She gets rid of her gut health issues, her hormonal dysregulations. She's more productive. She's more happy. She's more outgoing. She's more pleasant. Think about the communication now that Miss Jones is passing down to her children, to her husband. Maybe her husband now looks at his wife as like, damn, my wife has totally transformed her life. She looks amazing. She truly cares about us being in our golden years together, enjoying our retirement and our vacation, traveling the world. I better get my act together so I don't have a heart attack at the age of 55, right? And so now you start to create your purpose. You create this meaning that is bigger than you. And that's one of the greatest feelings in the world. I actually ballooned up in weight from chemotherapy. A lot of times when you think chemo, you're shrinking, you're losing weight, you look like a skeleton. For me, I ballooned up in weight because I had so many bags of saline and these big bags of chemicals and steroids and all the stuff, antibiotics that they're pumping you full. I got super inflamed and was just gaining gaining weight. And I didn't know this would be a byproduct of the reason why I wanted to continue to go forward on my nutrition and my fitness and my cardio journey was when I first started losing weight and I'd go to work or I'd see people I haven't seen in a long time. They go, damn, dude, you look great, especially after going through what you went through. Like, what have you been doing? I'm like, hey, man, I hired a nutrition coach. Like, when I hired a nutrition coach, I didn't even know what that term meant. I didn't know what a macro or micronutrient was. And I damn didn't know how to read a food label. I didn't know anything about that. And now people are asking me how I did it. And I can't wait to tell you how I did it. And I didn't know that would go on to inspire other people, in their own journeys. And that feels good. And you should feel good because it's hard. It is hard.
It is hard.
You know what else is hard? Dying young, having, God forbid, some kind of chronic disease. I mean, the stats are incredible right now with how sick Americans are. It's really bad. People are so metabolically unhealthy at a cellular level. Do you know that 1 out of 2 Americans now will face cancer?
That's crazy.
Like type 2 diabetes or early onset diabetes, like all of these things are through the roof. Like, Joe, if I gave you $10 million today, but I told you couldn't wake up tomorrow, you taking the money?
Not a chance. That money's not going anywhere.
And why is that?
So what's the real wealth?
Your health.
There you go.
And so, man, here's another way of thinking about it. This was a very powerful, I don't talk about this as much anymore, but man, I used to talk about this all the time. I don't know what the stat is for the average woman in America, but the average man in America lives to 73 years old. And so let's not quantify that like I'm 41, 73. What is that? I got 32 more years on life. Wow, 32 more years to live. That's a long freaking time, right? Hard to even quantify 32 years. But I stopped quantifying life by years and I started quantifying life by heartbeats. 73 years old is 3.3 billion heartbeats in a lifetime. And when you start thinking about, like, for me, I told you, my mom is my everything. It's not that I have another 32 years with my mom where my mom lives. I want to say my mom's age, out of respect for my mom, right? Mom could have like 20 more years of life. And unfortunately, I only see my mom once or twice a year. So it's not that I got 20 more years with my mom. It's that I got 10, 20, maybe 40 more interactions with her ever. And you start quantifying the opportunities that you have with people and the heartbeats that you actually have. Again, back to 3.3 billion in 3.3 billion heartbeats in a lifetime. Start asking yourself, what am I doing with my heartbeats? And you may say something like, well, Nick, if I'm fit and I'm doing cardio and I'm going to the gym, my heart rate goes up. And so aren't I wasting heartbeats? No, because the healthier you are, your resting heart rate goes down and you actually start to gain back life. That's a beautiful thing because we live in a beautiful world, man. Like, you can get all caught up in all the weird stuff that's going on in our world and our society.
Everywhere.
It's still a beautiful life, man. If you can't wake up and say, God, thank you for a chance and a choice today. Thank you for my health. Thank you for the food. Thank you for my car. Thank you for my job. Thank you for my family. Thank you for allowing me to figure out how to pay my bills. Whatever, as small it is, man, like, that's beautiful. You got to wake up today. That is the greatest gift of all because there's people that did not wake up today.
Choose what you're going to do with it, which comes right back to the beginning of this conversation. Choose what frame you want to live through.
Choose the lens.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, again, if you take anything, it's not your conditions, it's your decisions.
I love it. Well, guess what? Everybody listening, you can't work with Nick unless you want to learn to sell stuff. So hopefully this was encouraging. And for anybody in the audience right now, Nick, you and I were talking in the beginning in the green room before I hit record. Like, I went really back and forth after working with Jason. I don't know if I want to be a life coach or a sales coach. And this isn't for the audience. This is for you, but you can change some fucking lives.
Thank you, man.
Like, I know you can sell, obviously. And the goal of sales is not to make $1. It's actually to change a life if you're doing it the right way. But man, I hope you never doubt yourself and your ability to actually change a life.
Thank you. And look, I'm just going to put this out there. This is not a plug. There's probably one person out there that's listening to this and really going through something really painful. I'm here for you. Reach out to me. You can find me. My name on Instagram is Nick Ross, NickRoss, sells, SELLS. Send me a DM. There's nothing to be embarrassed about, man. I'll get on a phone call. I'll send you a voice memo. I'll champ you up. I'll talk you through it. And wouldn't even dream of charging $1 for it. So if you are the person that's listening and identify with that, reach out. I'm here to just have a conversation. Just get it off your chest. I'm here for you.
Yeah. And for anybody listening that would doubt that, he's not lying. And when you go to his Instagram, you're going to see this massive, large, muscled, tattooed, intimidating guy. But he is the kindest, most gentle human I've ever met, and he cares. So what he just said is from the heart, and it's also true.
Thank you, man. That means a lot.
Thank you. So we know you're Nick Ross Sells on Instagram. If anybody wants to spend more time with you, hear from you, learn anything from you, is there anywhere else they can do that?
Yes. I actually have a podcast myself. The last bit of that podcast has been very sales focused, but there's about 50 episodes. They're only 30 minutes long. If you need a nice little kick in the rear end to start your day while you're doing your cardio, you're driving to work, check it out. It's called Close One. One is WON, Close One Academy. I have a podcast on all the places you can listen to a podcast. Again, 15, 30-minute podcast of I'm in your face, I'm motivating you, helping you build momentum, and talking about a lot of this kind of stuff. So make sure you check it out.
Awesome. I'll put that in the show notes too to make it very, very simple.
Thanks,
Thank
brother.
you again, Nick.
Thanks, Joe.